What turns you on that you are absolutely embarrassed about? Number 1. Warm Prophet says, my humiliation kink, but that's kinda the point. Zalka14 replied, Jesus, it reminds me of how I met my BF. It was almost identical to this conversation. I wrote something about my kink. He made a half-joke comment about it. I answered, we started talking and now we are together for 4 years. And it's so embarrassing I always lie to people about how we met. Number 2. Classic Vegetable Stew says, there is a spot on the dead center, back of my head. Even someone lightly touching it or pulling my hair sets me off. Doesn't matter who. In Rod We Trust 8008 replied, I dated this woman that had that spot just behind and under her ears on both sides. I found this out when one time we were hanging out before we got together and she was leaning her chair back on the legs. Well, she started to tip over and with one hand I grabbed armrest and my other hand caught her at the base of her neck right before she fell. I don't think I have ever in my life ever turned a woman on that fast. We had a lot of fun together that year. Number 3. Lego Bob Go says, I hate that I posted this, but it was the night after a convention and me and some friends went bowling. I was still wearing the ears from a costume and someone came up to me and asked to pet my head. They proceeded to pet me and say, you're such a good boy, and I was so glad I had a place to sit down. Number 4. Hey Lil Kitty says, guys who get awkward or anxious around girls. I don't know why, just does it for me. Bonus points if they blush. Number 5. Super Rose says, I had a male friend that was very religious and did not touch women. We were close friends for years and never touched, hugged, shook hands, nothing. One day he passed me a pen and his finger grazed my finger ever so slightly. Holy moly, it was like one of the most intense sensual moments I've ever experienced. The sense of touch was magnified to a level I had never experienced. Years later he told me that this moment almost caused him to leave religion and just take me. So yes, that's my kink now. But anytime I asked a partner to just avoid touching for like a week, even a few days to build up the sexual tension, they thought I was crazy. Number 6. Passion Fruit 1 says, people who dress professionally for work, but they have a tattoo or several and the tattoos can slightly be seen. Number 7. Strawberry Dream says, hands, especially veiny hands that have veins popping out. It's embarrassing but damn it is so hot, wow. Number 8. Escaping Problems says, wrestling with someone who's much, much stronger than me. To be honest, it turns me on even more when I somehow win sometimes. The look of defeat, misery and annoyance on losing on the other person is absolutely delicious. Number 9. Einop says, when a guy lays his head on my lap and is totally vulnerable. These 2 Radical replied, there was a guy I was friends with in high school who I knew liked me but I didn't really like back. Went over to his house with a group of about 3 others to watch a movie. At some point he laid his head on my lap. I couldn't focus on the rest of the movie. It felt like I was on fire down there in the best way. Number 10. John Wicks DCK says, very ashamed of this one. When my GF has even a tinge of body odor, I get very aroused. I don't know what's wrong with me. Edit, I'm not so ashamed now. Hey guys, trying out something new here to grow the channel by asking. Let me know if you prefer shorter compilations like this. Or would you prefer longer 20-minute plus ones instead? Also, if you enjoy this style of content, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more like this in the future. Back to the thread. 3 Squirrels in a Coat replied, our sense of smell signals a ton of stuff about our relationship to other living beings. Take the sexy out of it for a second. Mothers love the smell of their babies. And most people when holding a baby can notice the baby smell and it is calming. That's our instinctual care mode triggered by scent. Then think about your pets. My dog before he passed had a smell. It was his specific smell, and when we would cuddle up and he'd snuggle his head under my chin, it was a feeling of closeness. His smell triggered the release of oxytocin in my brain, which is a calming hormone. I imagine my smell triggered the release in his little brain. And with our romantic partners, you're in a powerful soup of smells. The soaps and perfumes they use are part of it. Their pheromones are a part of it. Even their funkiness becomes a part of it, because your brain is associating all those smells with the feelings of closeness, safety, and sexual excitement all in one. And on the flip side of this, you may be interested to know, sometimes when a couple is breaking up, one of the complaints is they don't smell good anymore. The relationship has degraded so much that the same smells and pheromones do not trigger the same feelings. So, for you, not only is this not something that is embarrassing, it is suggestive of a really strong and loving relationship. Good for you, man. We should all be so lucky. Number 11. Das Kitten Cat says, when my guy came on my boobs, I told him he needed to clean it off and he licked all of it off. New kink unlocked. Number 12. Diminutive Dwarf says, men crying. The emotional vulnerability is something I find extremely attractive. But you can't say, I love seeing men cry without sounding like an asshole. ICOMF1962 says, biting. A girl I had a crush on in high school bit my arm playfully and I had to hide my hard on. Also, a recent hookup nibbled my earlobe and around my neck and shoulders and I reached the mountaintop moments later. Something more conventionally embarrassing would be when I tried to get back into anime as an adult and was ashamed to be getting horny for some of the female characters. Specifically, Yoko from Gurren Lagann and Tornado from One Punch Man. Number 13. Taido Mask says, my boyfriend has jokingly started saying what he would do to me in various silly voices that have accidentally turned me on. This includes Scottish, Pirate, Vsauce Michael, Kermit the Frog, various voices from the video game Fury, among others I can't remember right now. At one point we were going at it and I said you could say anything and I would find it hot and this man started quoting the B-movie. That's incredible. How does someone pull off a Vsauce voice in a sexual situation? Number 14. Women Repulsor says, married women who are much higher in age than me. Women in their 30s or 40s. It has been an issue since teenage. I've always been attracted to much older women than women my age. Tyrannosaurus Rex says, much higher age. In their 30s. Listen here, you lil shit. Number 15. Fun Reporter 8905 says, I am a lesbian who is turned on by men masturbating. Porn though, in real life it's not a turn on, which is why I am so confused. Also scissoring with pants on. Or anything sexual with clothes on. Something that also confuses me. Number 16. Ambivalent Ash says, not really embarrassing, but something I've only told one person, but mask-presenting lesbians are a big turn-on for me. As somebody who's always presented as straight and never had a relationship with a woman, I often wonder if I'm bi, and lately I've been thinking more and more that I am. Number 17. Bruno Jerez says, at 73, women endurance athletes, especially those of my contemporary age, arms, legs, neck, abdomens look like beef jerky. I am mesmerized. I think it must be awesome to walk around with that power-to-weight ratio. Aren't I supposed to be too old for such things? Number 17. Meku1994 says, I have very sensitive nipples, which, as a man, can be embarrassing to tell partners. But yeah, immediate nut buttons on my chest. Number 18. Me Enzumi says, the bend of the leg behind the knee. I don't get turned on by looking at it, but having the penis massaged by it is really f***ing good. The same goes to the legs in between, the thighs. 121 gigawatts replied. And getting strong Mormon loophole vibes from this one. Number 19. Remarkable Remote 654 says, women who wear leather knee-high boots and thigh-high boots were what started me off, which had progressed to latex and PVC. Number 20. Filippo Zero says, Scad. Zikal88 replied, you're right to be embarrassed. I know. I think it's pretty gross when I'm not turned on too. I don't know, I got into watching a lot of porn in my teenage years, probably trying to fill a void caused by loneliness. Soon vanilla porn became boring and I got into the more extreme stuff. I put the pussy on a pedestal, I guess, because I didn't really have any contact with girls back then. It started with foot fetish porn and soon spiraled into full-blown extreme femdom. I loved watching beautiful women hurt men and men doing very humiliating things for the women. At some point scat was just the next hit, the most humiliating thing for a man to do. To willingly eat the waist of his female partner. And thank her for it too. I don't know if all of this started because of feelings of inadequacy, probably, but somehow most of these fetishes stuck with me to this day. I am embarrassed about it and understand most people would view me as an absolute weirdo if they found out. Shreedek replied, that actually makes sense. Desensitized at a young age and need more and more hardcore and devious material to find what you're looking for. Reminds me of my journey with drug addiction, honestly. Number 21. The uncivilized look of native peoples around the world, but particularly African women with dreadlocks. As a white man, I feel like this is very insulting to those people, and has dangerous colonizer implications. A very dangerous line to tread indeed. Number 22. Black Sam says, I like women's feet. I'll see a woman walk by and I'll notice her feet, say to myself, oh, she's got pretty feet, that's it. Embarrasses me more listening to other guys' comments about women's feet. Hey, you would look sexier if you walked around barefoot and got them dirty, or now walk through this and make them messy and suck on your toes. I just like looking at them, that's it. Number 23. Alex Fails says, big masculine men putting me in my place, especially when it comes to size comparison. But weirdly, it has nothing to do with humiliation, and more to do with feeling safe in a strong man's arms. But 9 times out of 10 it gets interpreted as a humiliation kink. Number 24. Alith Illich says, ears. Edit, specifically small, rounded women's ears. I like playing with them in various ways. I also enjoy having my own ears stimulated, and I have an ASMR fetish. People will suggest I try ASMR for relaxing, and it doesn't work that way for me except for nature sounds. Those are some interesting and somewhat unique kinks that I've not come across before. What do you think? Are there any here that you too would be embarrassed to have? Or is any kind of kink shaming frowned upon? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this in the future.